Recording in progress. Hello, Amrei.
Hello, Belle.
We are going to have a little conversation today, and we're going to record this conversation. We're going to talk very briefly about the private one-on-one tuition that you offer. I'm going to start with my own little personal story. For those of you that don't know me, I don't know where the camera is. It's up here somewhere. Hello, I'm Belle. And I am the owner and operator of Bikram Yoga Sunshine Coast, which is a really small studio on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. And Amrei and I know each other for a couple of years now through Bikram Yoga. So a couple of years ago, I'm going to talk about my own little personal journey about private tuition one-on-one. A couple of years ago, I went down to Brogo in New South Wales. And I was very lucky to have a private one-on-one as a studio owner in amongst all the teacher trainees that you had at the time, which most studio owners would be absolutely horrified to do. But for me personally, I just think that's a fantastic thing to do, to actually go and help people to learn about bodies. There's so many different elements to Bikram yoga, to people's bodies, to how the yoga applies to people's bodies, all that sort of stuff. So I think it's really important for trainees to learn about bodies and different types of injuries and that sort of stuff. At the time, I was in a huge amount of hip pain, and I ended up getting a hip replacement. And I have to say, in that first meeting with you, I didn't get a lot of relief. And I kept sort of going on down the path and da 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 da. And fast forward to 4 months ago, actually, yesterday, I had a hip replacement 4 months ago yesterday, and still having a lot of soft tissue pain when we met up a few weeks ago. And we had another little bit of a tweak with my postures, and I am now pain-free completely, which is just a godsend. You always said to me, yeah, I know, right? You always said to me, I can help you, and I didn't believe you. And you always said to me, I will make you love practice again, and I didn't believe you. And it's worked. And it was a little very fine adjustment that you could see with your really weird, creepy spidey senses. She has the ability to be able to see through clothing. She has the ability to be able to see like alignment that is really very difficult to see with the untrained eye, for sure. So the little tweaks that you've given me have just turned everything around. And I've been practicing this yoga for 21 years. So I'm absolutely wrapped. I'm absolutely wrapped. And I've had a lot of all sorts of teachers. I've been really lucky, actually. I've had lots of senior teachers and teachers that have been really experienced in Bikram yoga, and you just happen to manage to just see one little thing that was just out of alignment that I've changed, and big game changer. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yay! Fantastic. So
For
that's my
trying it.
own little personal little reflection there too. But we were talking about, this is what it's really about. It's about people that are in pain and that haven't perhaps getting really in depth and into the nitty-gritty of people's bodies, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, and so anyone who knows me knows I hate advertising for myself and stuff, but I finally come to the realization if I don't talk about it, you probably never know, because it does sound so scary, doesn't it? To do a one-on-one full stop with me. Oh my God, right? And then like you have experienced before, I used to do them like 2 or 3 hours long, go through every single posture, and then people walk away with such an overwhelming amount of information that I think often they just felt a bit deflated because they felt like there's so many things wrong, I can't possibly fix them. And then the last couple of years in Europe, I just had so many requests for private, I just didn't have the time. So I had to make 1 hour slots for people. And I really refined them down, and sort of realized that if we really sort out the standing, how people stand, how they do the pranayama in half moon, all the little tiny things that are not quite right there, they transfer into everything anyway. So if we just help people to really stand as best as possible, so the body is tractioning up and the energy can run through the body, and we, no tucking and no hyperextending and all that jazz, and I'm very good at helping people with that, then automatically the rest will get better. Also because people can work on that at home. You know, even if people are lucky like me, I pretty much practice every single day. Even when you practice every single day for 2 hours, there's still that 22 hours you can stand wrong and fuck it all up again, right? So if you have something really simple that people go and you do it with them 4, 5, 6 times, whatever times, so they can feel, oh yeah, this is how we actually stand up. This is how the energy flows. This is, and then they can do it themselves, and then everything start to change. So, and it's been just so overwhelmingly amazing to see this changes, like what you just said, pain-free. And we talked about this last time a little bit when I was in Europe. There was people on painkillers, they on constant pain for 3 years, physio 5 times a week, and suddenly I help them to stand straight and there's no pain, like zero, nothing. People with ripped hamstrings 6 centimeters, doing the postures right, no pain. Like it's I still can't really quite believe it, and it's so simple, and it can be just done in an hour. I don't even need heat. It's so simple to start to really, I believe 100% everybody can do this yoga pain-free. You just need to invest a little bit of time, maybe, especially if we started doing it for many, many years, just a little bit wrong, because then the body has a memory just doing it like that always. And often the one negative thing that I see with the heat is that we often don't feel the damage at the time. So that's one of the reasons why I do the privates, not necessarily in the cold room, but, you know, without the heat being on, because you don't, and I felt it in myself when I had the chronic injuries. You know, I felt like I have to be really, really hot. Otherwise my hips hurt so much, because, as you know, I had the 2 years chronic hip pain that Dev helped me fix. But I often would go to class, feel better while I was moving, and afterwards I would be worse.
Yeah.
Because I clearly put it too far into direction. Well, that's not the point of yoga, to hurt more afterwards, right? So when we do these
Although we
little
think
things,
that's the point sometimes. Kind of how it's been for
I
a
don't think
while.
it's important.
Yeah.
I think yoga is supposed to make us feel better, right? And so I felt it in my own body. It's the small little adjustments. And I told you the little thing with me where I'm like, I filmed myself back, side and front in pranayama, because I knew I did something that was still pissing off my hip, even though it was actually fixed. But I would do it and it would hurt more afterwards, and I couldn't figure it out. And I sent it to my teacher, Dev, and I said, Dev, I can't figure it out. What am I doing wrong? He goes, Amrei, you're just too German. You're just doing it too intensely, right? And it changed everything. Like, to just, because sometimes the technique can be right, but because we have this memory of pain and we put tension into some body parts instead of learning how to extend out of it, that's where that can be enough to accumulate the pain and repeat the pain and stuff like that. And I think it's similar when people get really exhausted. Like, if you practice every day for 10 years, really the yoga should be rejuvenating, not depleting. You know, because we assume at this point you breathe properly and all those things. And I think Robbie, who owns the Belle studio, he had a similar sort of thing where technically everything was correct, but he was basically instead of really lifting out of the pelvis and feeling this alignment and lift through the mula bandha up, he was just everything going right. So it would deplete him. He was often very depleted and couldn't really do it afterwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, got it. Bikram yogis too, we do get into that. We're so yangy. I always say that the Bikram yoga is a combination of yang and yin. And as Bikram yogis, we tend to look at all the dynamics of the dynamic sort of holds and the strength and all that sort of stuff. And we forget that it's not about being like water. We forget that there's a lot of yin to it as well. It has to be a combination of both, otherwise it's all going to go in one direction, very unbalanced. So yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's been. I actually was very, very skeptical. I have to say that's another big point I wanted to make too, is because I have been doing this yoga for so long, and I've had all these other people that have, you know, we take lots of information in from different teachers and different ways. They're all amazing teachers, but I was very skeptical about, you know, that you could fix me. And really that's what's changed a lot of just those little tiny things. It's not about being one-on-one. It's quite challenging, but it's not about being in competition. It's not about being, so precise. It's little things like standing. It's also gone now throughout the entire practice. When I'm standing and I'm standing a little bit like, I'm tired or I'm just going back into old patterns, I get pain again. So I instantly know now that's okay. I have to go a bit slower until my body just sort of figures out how to do it just by itself. But yeah, I was very, very skeptical. Yeah, no, nothing's going to fix this. Nothing's going to fix it because I've been doing it for so long. So that was a really
I
big
know,
game changer for me too.
and I think that is why I'm one of the main reasons why I'm so excited about doing this with many people. As you know, I've done over 200 since April.
Wow.
It's because I feel that everyone that I've had this pleasure of doing an hour with, or sometimes 2 hours, but mostly it's an hour of private, I really feel at the end they're excited about yoga again. Like they're truly excited about going in. They're not just going in, like I know for you at some time when you were in so much pain, you still want to go in for the mental stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
But hope to not have to go to the physically at the mental, right? Because I was a similar point. Like I still had to practice, but it really wasn't so much fun anymore. And I was like, will I ever be able to walk without pain again? I didn't believe it. I was at the point of going, I will never walk without pain again. And yet here I am, just from those little bits. And the thing is that I really know, I felt it in me. I've seen it enough people now. It can really happen. It can absolutely happen.
Mm.
And I just funny this story with Kimbo that when I thought about the teacher in Stockholm that had hurt her knee 8 years
Oh,
ago and
yes,
took
yes, 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 yes.
and then she hurt her knee again last year and decided in her mind that she was never ever going to do toe stand again because clearly her body wasn't made for it. And I said, okay, how about we try toe stand? And you could just see the wall going right. And I'm like, look, I promise you, I'm not going to push you at all. Let's just see. Let me just have a look how you normally start to go into it. And long and behold, it took 5 minutes and she had done toe stand 5 times, no pain, no nothing, enjoyed it. No fear, nothing.
Tiny
Of
little
course,
checks, tiny little
tiny, tiny little
awarenesses,
thing.
little
But
tiny little things. Yeah.
that I've noticed from myself when I had the chronic injury, we never have to say a word. But if we are in pain or certain postures hurt me in my personal practice at the time, the way I teach that posture is different. So if I'm somebody who can't do toe stand anymore, who's hurt themselves, try going to toe stand, I guarantee the way she had been teaching toe stand was very different from the way I would be teaching it, because for me, it's not a problem, right? So then we unconsciously give our fears into our students because we haven't figured out the posture, or whatever that is. And we never have to say, don't do toe stand, but it's still because there's so much energy give and take in the room that the students still feel that, right? And you can see it when I go to studios over the world. I can just about tell the studio owners practice before I see them by the average student's practice, right? So when you can tell, like I
Yeah.
knew in your studio, I knew a great bow and a good standing bow because your whole studio does it, right? So it's so amazing when we can let go of our fears and fall back in love with the yoga. It really ripples down. It really ripples down.
I
So,
get
and
it.
that's the other thing
Totally get
exciting.
it.
And I talked to Kimbo afterwards. I think you did. And anyway, she ended up doing toe stand, so that
Yeah.
wasn't a problem. I don't think you had ever, or in 20 years or whatever. So it's not it's not about doing toe stand. That's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, when we have these little excitements of little wins, little pain-free moments, do your first back bend without pain. It's like when we first found Bikram, when we first decided to go to teacher training, because it gave us so much. It was so much excitement and love for this yoga in there. And it's, really in my studio, I often do packages of 4 or 5 privates. That's like fantastic. That's like seeing a physio every week to get something sorted out, right? But even just an hour somewhere can be the difference between pain and no pain, hating a posture and liking a posture. So I just think
That's
it's a consider, isn't it? Because
that,
we have no clue going seeing chiro or physio or a personal trainer one-on-one. That's a normal thing. But somehow doing a yoga class one-on-one is a weird thing. So
the investment, that's the other part of it too. The investment that really came home for me when we talked about it, just how much I'm getting a bit teary about that, because I've got it, it's quite emotional for me, having fear of pain. And that was a big part of it for like 8 years, being in pain. And I spent thousands of dollars on my hip with different people that all said they can fix it, different things, and massage and acupuncture and all sorts of different therapies. And to actually be out of pain now because of just one tiny little adjustment, it's phenomenal. The investment that you are making in all sorts of other elements, like your massage and your chiropractor and your physio. Yeah, I just think about how much I did, and the yoga and the this and and it was just a tiny simple little thing. It's mind-blowing how much of a difference it's made. So, and I've spoken to people, I've got people in my studio that also, they're just like, their little eyes are just like wide-eyed, and they're all so excited to be practicing. And that's weeks later down the track. And having a chat with Kimbo too, it was yeah, it's super effective. What you're doing is incredible. I'm so grateful to have you in my life and in the life of our studios as well, and our students as well. It's been fantastic. I'd say too, as a studio owner, I was having a little chat about this with my teachers the other day, and as a studio owner, and you and I had a chat about this too, just actually getting in front of your students and being vulnerable. Really, it's a big thing for studio owners, because we're supposed to know everything, and we're supposed to not be in pain, and we're supposed to be completely yogis, and and it's not a perfect recipe. It's not a perfect combination.
no.
And I think, being able to put yourself in that vulnerable place of learning and showing vulnerability in your physical body, it's quite challenging, but I highly recommend it, because it's about being uncomfortable, isn't it? A lot of Bikram yoga is about being uncomfortable and going through the squeeze mentally and emotionally, as well as just, physically making your body more flexible and more strong. There's a discomfort in that too. And yeah, sucking it up and just the other side to that is, once I've sort of let go of all of that story that I had in my head, I just feel fantastic now. So and great. My students are really benefiting from it as well. So it's bloody fantastic.
Thank you.
Good investment, a good investment, after all the money that you can put into your pain and your issues, all the money you can keep throwing after it, if you love the yoga, but it hasn't been working for you, it's the best investment you can make.
Thanks, Belle.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. This is very, very genuine, happy face to actually, you know what? I always talk myself out of yoga, and I'll be honest with you. I know you practice every day. You're just like a machine, but I'm like, oh, I'm a bit tired, and I haven't there. I'm actually like, oh, when can I get to yoga again? And I can't do tonight because I've got to go out for dinner with my family. And I was like, oh, I'm going to miss out on my yoga. I won't be able to get to do it now until, and I've never been that person, and I can't wait.
But isn't it how, for me, isn't it how we started though? When you first started, wasn't it like that?
Yeah.
Yes. See, that's
Absolutely.
go back to that first excitement and love. And that's what happened for me. Like, I don't know, not all of you might know, but I've got 4 kids. I'm not a very big person. I had 4 giant babies come out of me, and just about everything broken at some point. And yet, right now, with the yoga and a lot of help from Dev, who gave me an enormous amount of personal corrections, I feel better now in my body at 43, I think it is, than I did when I was 20. Like, honestly, I do. But it's because the end goal of yoga is effortless, isn't it? That we can do 90-minute class with joy and effortless. It doesn't mean we burn any less calories. It doesn't mean we work any less. It doesn't mean we have to sit down. But when we breathe properly and we learn the extension of the body and to create tension and transfer it into extension, it can be really joy and exciting again, just like we did when we first found it.
Totally. And such big transformation too. It really, I can feel it in my whole physical and mental and emotional body. I can just feel like I'm just completely different person. It's lovely, and heading towards God knows where, but I'm really happy and excited about where it's heading now. So it's great. So I was very stuck for a long, long time in so much pain. So
Thank you.
yay! So
Can't wait to see you again.
yeah, can't wait to see you again. Hurry up and get here because everyone's going to sign up again and do more. You're going to be exhausted by the time you've finished in our studio. Thank you so much for your time. You're really good at this. You're really good at this social media stuff, actually. You are really good at this. Talking about what you love and talking about what you're passionate about and talking about what you're good at is always the way to go. Yeah, always. Yeah, it's the real deal, man. The real deal. All right, I'm going to sign off. I love you and leave you. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Thank you.
And stop recording.